Hi, this is Carl Eller, and you're watching the One Bar and Lepagas show.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lepagas show. I'm One Bar. It is that time of the week. It is time to skol with the enemy, and this is always one of my favorite ones. Who does not love Packer Week, even if the Vikings are kind of shitting the bed this year? Regardless, it is always fun to play the Packers. We got Ryan from Packernet Podcast. We'll have all of his links down in the description. Check him out. He's no stranger to the show. We've had him on a couple times. I got a feeling what the answer is, but how is life in 8-2 Packerland these days?
Things are pretty good. I mean, fans always have something to complain about and gripe about and fight about, and there's plenty of drama that gets drummed up. But 8-2, man, there's nothing to be upset about.
No, and it pisses me off. But,
yeah, that's half the joy.
Exactly. But let's dive into the Packers-Vikings game. The Packers and Vikings do seem to have a little similarity this season, and that is the phrase injuries.
Yeah.
Vikings have been hit by it. Packers have been hit by it. No doubt about it. But as of now, I mean, the Vikings, aside from their season-ending injuries, the guys yesterday. There's a little bit of scare. Brian O'Neill may be on the COVID list, but he was back at practice today. So aside from the season-ending injuries, Vikings are in decent shape. Packers, on the other hand, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You got some pretty big names, Rashawn Gary, your big left tackle. I mean, what's the scoop on them guys? Are they playing this week?
I don't think it's going to be anything different. Zadarius is probably still going to be out. Jair is still going to be out. David Bakhtiari, I haven't listened to the press conference yet, but from what I've heard, it sounds pretty like not very good news for him coming back anytime soon. So he's not going to be back. Rashawn Gary, though, surprisingly, although it looked like he snapped his arm in half, is planning on playing this week. They're going to see if he can go.
Damn it.
They even went so far as to say that they're going to try it without a cast first to see if they can do it without a cast. And I'm thinking, what the heck? How is that even possible? But there is a chance he doesn't play, but they're going to try it without a cast, and then they're going to try to cast him up and see if that works. And then obviously if that doesn't work. So, yeah, I mean, we've got some pretty devastating injuries, but the bad news is everybody that's going to be out has pretty much been out all year. So it's not great, but we're 8-2 with the situation as it is.
I mean, I don't wish injury or missing time on even the Packers, but Rashawn Gary, I'd be fine if he just took an extra week to heal up. I think that'd be a wise move.
He's been a big piece, especially with Zadarius being out, and Whitney Merciless came in. He was a great piece. Now he's done for the year. So we've had some real big pieces, and they just would. I mean, you guys know you're having some issues too, but people are dropping like flies. We're losing them faster than we're getting them back.
If you had a magic wand and you could bring one of these guys back, who are you bringing back right now?
Probably Bakhtiari, not just because of what he does, but how much it fixes the rest of the offensive line. If we can get Elton Jenkins possibly moved over to right tackle, Billy Turner inside to guard, I mean, it just fixes that whole thing. The run blocking has been pretty subpar. I think that gets a big boost. But I mean, it's not an easy decision. I would love to have Jair back, but the only reason I don't is because the corners are somehow doing a good job. I don't know how. Props to Joe Barry, our new defensive coordinator. Getting Zadarius back would be huge, considering, again, the massive amount of injuries and how talented he is. But I think if I had to pick, I would want Bakhtiari back.
You bring up your cornerbacks, and I could be dead wrong, and please put me in my place on this one. But everything I remember for the last handful of years is Kevin King has been the hair above dog shit.
Right.
And
I don't know about above, but yeah, we're in that range.
Is he having a good year?
He's been out for a while, but it's been very, very strange because they did a thing where they put him in the slot. And I'm thinking that is the worst possible thing, because this is a guy who's really tall, straight line speed, and cannot move laterally to save his life. Slot is the one place you never want to put him. He did fantastic in the slot. And then, so then he went out for a while. He came back in the last 3 weeks, via PFF, he's graded out very well. Apparently he's like the 5th highest graded corner the last 3 weeks, which it's a small sample size, but he doesn't do those kinds of things. He might maybe once a year have some freakish good game, and then a couple Kevin King truthers pop up and say some stupid line about when he's healthy, he's really good, which has never been true. But I mean, 3 good games in a row. And again, when you pair that with guys like Rasul Douglas playing really, really well, that guy's never played good football in his life. Eric Stokes is playing well as a rookie. I mean, just guys, patchwork guys that have come in that have never really played good football, who are playing good football. It would make sense that Kevin King is playing better than what we've seen in the past. So I can't explain it, but yes, the corners and Kevin King are actually doing a decent job.
Well, sticking on the injury theme, Aaron Jones is out for how long?
It looked more devastating than I think it's going to be. We got some relatively good news, but it's going to be at least 2 weeks. I think best case scenario, I'm assuming, is going to be after the bye.
Well, which brings up my next point. AJ Dillon. When the Packers drafted him, I almost spit out my beer. You guys are probably sick of hearing that. He probably doesn't get enough love as he should.
Yeah.
But I will say this, as a Vikings fan, the history we have against bruising backs, particularly a great example is Eddie Lacy. Like every time we played him, he would rip us a new one. So I'm actually a little more scared of AJ Dillon than I would be of Aaron Jones, of him just coming out and giving us a little bit of an ass whooping. Is that fair, or am I nuts?
Well, no, it's interesting because, and I'm shocked how hesitant they've been so far to just unload the guy. I mean, he's built to do 25 carries a game. He's built to be that kind of a guy, and they've been really slowly easing him in. His best games are when they just lean on him. You know, last year that game against the Titans in the snow, he was the only running back. They gave him the ball. He just dominated. Against the Arizona Cardinals, they for some reason, that was just the game plan. We're just going to ride Dillon, and he just carried that whole game. But yeah, I think the interesting thing is, and it's the way I think football is evolving. Defenses move to being smaller, faster, sideline to sideline, especially you look at a team like Arizona, right? Really small guys, but they fly around the field. So we just took AJ Dillon and said, all right, he's just going to smash into you guys, and he's just bowling everybody out of the way. So I kind of think he's built for this kind of football because a lot of defenses aren't really built for it anymore. You know, I mean, it's tough when you're getting these 220-pound linebackers that are built to cover to now come up and smack into 250-pound guy with quads the size of my entire torso.
Yeah, it's that is not good news. Vikings, like I said, that is not their bread and butter. Big backs. That's a little bit scary. Talking defense, you already touched on this a little bit with the corners, but it seems like the last couple of years the Packers defense has gradually gotten better. I don't know where you were last year. I think you're damn near top 10, but this year top 5. What gives? What has elevated this defense to be that much better?
Well, I can't speak for the entirety of Packer fans, but I can't even embrace it. I'm not comfortable with it. Every single week I just assume it's a fluke and it's not gonna stay this way. And every week it seems to get a little bit better. I mean, all I can say is Joe Barry has brought in a style of defense that's just working. I know it's sort of that modern Rams, whatever that new evolution of style of defense that's going around with the Rams and the Broncos and Fangio and all those kinds of guys, Staley. And it's just clicking. You know, Devondre Campbell is another example. That guy has been a nobody linebacker for about 4 or 5 years in the NFL. He comes over here and he's one of the highest ranked linebackers. And he's saying, I don't know, man, he just knows how to coach linebackers. So it's, I can't really explain it, but it is working. He puts these guys in a great position and they just do a good job of just doing their job. There's nobody really that stands out. That's just this elite player. We don't have a TJ Watt. Jair would be that guy. He's not playing. Zadarius has been that guy. He's not playing. So we don't have that one guy that's shutting everybody down, but everybody just kind of does their job and it just works. It's just random guys making plays at just the right time. Kind of the opposite, I think, of what the Vikings are doing, where you got talent and when you need it the most, it's just not quite there. The Packers maybe don't look good on a play-to-play basis, but when they need that big play, they find a way to get it. And it's just been working. And I still don't trust it and I'm still nervous about it, but they show up every week.
Campbell, giving former Gopher Campbell some love. I like it. Yeah. Where was he? He was at Atlanta before that, right? He's turned that around quick. Let's talk about what really matters. Let's talk about some holes in this Packers team. I want to know where the Vikings 4-5, obviously the underdog, coming into this game offensively. What's the biggest hole? When I look at PFF, whether you love PFF, hate PFF, on offense, it looks like the interior offensive line is not doing fantastic, but I want to hear your thoughts.
No, I think that's fair. And they've been shuffling some stuff around, but Royce Newman in particular, the right guard, has just been last week he graded out positively, but he's been horrific. And then the other guys kind of on the interior, depending on what line they're trotting out. It just hasn't been very good. If you've got some pass rushers, you're going to find success. And again, run blocking just has not been their thing at all. So if you have any ability to kind of stop the run, the Packers are probably going to struggle to run the ball. Outside of that, you've been hearing for years, we got to get Devontae help. We got to get Devontae help. We got to get Devontae help. And they always find a way to get other guys involved, Lazard and MVS, and everything seems to be fine. This year, it seems like it kind of caught up to them. There's been no contribution really from anybody outside of Devontae. Lazard has not shown up. MVS has been out for a while, but he wasn't there last week. Tunyon's now hurt. You get maybe a little contribution from a guy like Mercedes Lewis, but that's obviously not going to be very sustainable. So it has been kind of problematic, especially when you're trying to find rhythm when it's just Devontae and then your second biggest receiver is usually a running back. It's kind of clunky, and I think it's contributing to sort of this not talked about maybe enough, how the offense has been kind of slacking. There's a lot of talk about the defense doing a good job, but the offense really has not been like a Packers offense. It's been, I'm looking at it 17-7, 24, 24, 24, 25, 27. Those are the last scores these last several weeks. They haven't hit 30 since week 3. So they've been kind of sluggish out of the gate overall, and there's probably several contributing factors, including Aaron Rodgers not playing up to MVP standards like he did last year. But there are some holes, and I think just everything kind of coming down a notch has really caused them to have a hard time to just get into a rhythm.
Defensively, we've already touched on that. They're top 5 defense, but tell me there's a way, there's somehow a possibility that Dalvin's going to rip off $175 or Jefferson's going to go for 150. Where's the hole there?
I mean, it's almost an easy question, but it's a hard question because, again, I mean, I can tell you players that aren't elite players that you should be able to push around. I know your offensive line isn't super fantastic, but outside of Kenny Clark,
nice.
The defensive line isn't fantastic. Rashawn's going to be banged up. Preston hasn't been playing very well. There's no Zadar. So the defensive line it's whatever. And again, the corners they seem to be doing their jobs, but again, Peru's PFF, none of them are grading out fantastic. These are guys you should be able to win against. Eric Stokes, at the very least, I mean, he's an athletic freak, but he makes mistakes. He's a young guy. He's making some mental errors. He's given up some big plays. I think you're going to have to kind of pick and choose your spots. But if you guys can just play a solid, consistent game, which I know is kind of asking a lot, but if you can play a solid, consistent game, you should you should be able to kind of pick apart this defense. But I think that has been the hard part, because I think that's what part of the success for the Packers defense is they kind of make you do that. If you're not going to play a clean game, if you can't drive all the way down the field, and if you can't play 4 quarters, you're going to struggle, because they're going to force you to do that. You're going to struggle to get those big plays. You're going to have to get first downs consistently down the field and then punch it in. And even punching it in it's been incredible how many interceptions they have in the end zone. So, there's down the field. I'm like, all right, fine, they get 7. And they don't. Somehow they don't. It's a fumble recovery, a pick, or whatever the case may be. You just have to play a clean game. That's all I can say.
I don't like the fact that they just gave Seattle a goose egg last week. That doesn't help the confidence in Vikings mind.
Yeah, I still can't figure that one out. That still kind of boggles my mind. I know Russell Wilson wasn't playing his cleanest game, but still, a goose egg it's tough to get in the NFL.
Once again, we're joined by Ryan from the Packernet Podcast. Check it out. He actually has, I'm going to give him a little props here. He's got a fantastic episode where, what the hell is it called? The enemy you're enjoying. What is it? You basically bring on the clips of everybody's misery.
Yep.
And it's good. I want to rip you off, but I can't. It's just too good.
No, I mean, go for it, man, because I did it once because I thought it would be funny, and I've got so many requests. You got to do that again. That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, it's really just, I go around and I find every other team that we either don't like, or just, they're good teams or whatever, that had a bad week. And you just find creators like, One Bar and Lupagus here, who are maybe having a bad week. And I just play some audio of your misery, and my fans just yuck it up. So I listen, if the Packers end up losing to the Vikings, I would expect you to find a lot of Packers clips. Maybe not me, but if you want to, go for it.
And just a horrible idea. Just a Packers dedicated to Packers. That would be fantastic.
Your fans are going to love it.
No, it's good. I heard, I listened to yours the other day where Lupagus was pissing and moaning after the Cowboys game. Well deserved. It's a great episode. So All right. So even Vikings fans have to admit the fact that the Packers are definitely one of the best teams in the NFC at this point. Something that's pretty par for the course. I mean, you guys have been in the mix last handful of years, but what gives you hope that this could actually be the year to get you over the hump, get you in the Super Bowl again?
I really think it's just because it's the same in which they're one of the top teams, but it's a completely different Packers team. Like I said, the offense is not the same Packers team where we see Aaron Rodgers is dragging dead weight around the field. They don't have a run game. They don't have a defense. Aaron Rodgers and these wide receivers are just picking people apart, and they have a good offensive line. This is primarily a really good defense and an offense that's semi-competent, and I expect to get better because, again, Aaron Rodgers is better than we've been seeing, and et cetera, et cetera. Plus getting people back from injury. But the biggest thing is the Packers always had a real big issue with being sort of, how would you put it, weak-willed or weak-minded, where if things don't go well early, they just kind of quit, right? And Aaron Rodgers is one of the worst proponents of that. They'll have 2 bad series, and you'll see him pouting and throwing a fit and just doesn't want to play anymore, and everybody else's heads hang, and they just lose. And you saw that in the NFC Championship game. Things didn't go well. They didn't show up with energy, and things just spiraled out of control. This year, it feels like every single game they're down at least 7-0, every single game. And they just play 4 quarters all the way through. They never give up, and they end up winning all these games. That's a different kind of feel that have not seen from the Packers. They don't quit. They give you 4 quarters. It kind of reminds me, I hate to give the guy credit, but it kind of reminds me of Tom Brady, where the guy's just never out of it. And if you don't play 4 quarters, they're just going to roll right past you.
As far as players you don't want to see on the field, Vikings have a handful of guys that when they're out there, you just are cringing. You're drinking faster than you should be just because you don't want to see him. Who's the guy on the Packers when he's out there that, at least when I see him out there on Sunday, I can be like, all right, Ryan's going nuts right now. Who's the guy you do not want out there?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I already mentioned Royce, but I mean, he's not really a rotational guy. I mean, it'd be nice if he can get off. There aren't a ton.
You can pick Royce. I mean, mine's definitely our starting right guard. It's Oli Udoh.
Yeah, that would be ours too. It used to be in the past when a linebacker was out there, but the linebackers in particular have done such a good job. Guys like Oren Burks have been just horrific. And as soon as you see him, the quarterback sees him and he's going to throw at him. But they've done a good job of stepping up. So yeah, the only guy that's just been a complete and utter disappointment would have to be probably Royce, the right guard.
So as far as I'm glad we'll have a battle of the shittiest right guards in the league on Sunday.
We'll have to put a bet on who has the lower PFF grade.
Actually, I might take Udoh on that one as far as the winner, but we'll so Packers fans, especially you, I'm sure you've beat this one to death, but I don't care. I'm going to ask it anyways. Aaron Rodgers, is your mindset at this point, you don't give a shit, you're just going to wait and see what happens after the season? Or are you all in on the fact that this is officially his last year? Or are you starting to get some hope? Are you drinking some green and yellow Kool-Aid where he's coming back for a 10-year contract? Where are you at?
I'm mostly just blocking it out for the season. But a big part of the reason is I can't make up my mind. I'm back and forth on it every single day. If there was ever a reason, because, again, the Packers have said they want him to stay, and it seems like it's Rodgers that's trying to force his way out. Unless he just absolutely hates it here, I don't know what he's leaving over. I mean, the Packers have demonstrated they're willing to talk to him. They've demonstrated they're willing to bring guys in. I mean, they've brought in guy after guy after guy to try to win, and it's having some positive results. So if there's a breakup at the end of the year, it was just never meant to be. I don't know what else can happen. But then, again, you go back at like financially, how in the world can he stay and we can pay for him and keep Devontae and Jair and all these other guys? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. If he stays, we're probably going to lose a bunch of other guys. If he leaves, then we're stuck with, hoping and praying Jordan Love can be something competent and we get to keep everybody else. But all I know is I don't have to worry about that right now. I'm just trying to figure out if we can possibly squeeze a Super Bowl out of this year.
Just trying to knock you down a peg quick.
That's all right. No, I get it. It does. It gives me
my only chance
in my stomach. Yeah, it worked.
All right, final. The last few times the Vikings and Packers have played, there's been no lack of points on either side. And regardless if the Vikings are having a shitty season, if the Packers are in a funk, there have been some pretty damn good games aside from maybe a couple of blowouts. But as far as your expectations on Sunday, what's your gut? Not so much a prediction score, but just what do you think is going to happen on Sunday?
Well, I think in the past, if we were to, talk about 2020 or 2019, I would have put it somewhere around like 34-30, probably a high scoring game. The Packers, I've always said I have a higher opinion of Kirk Cousins than I think even Vikings fans do. And I think part of the reason is because the guy plays well against the Packers. If Jair has one bad game, it's going to be against the Vikings because Kirk Cousins throws a perfect ball to Justin Jefferson in tight cover. It drives me nuts. I don't know how. And then apparently he plays bad the rest of the year because I'm just sitting here praising the guy and everybody hates him. But this year just seems different. I think the Vikings, from what I've observed from afar, they're kind of just stumbling a little bit and they're not quite getting it in a rhythm. And I think the same is with the Packers. So I kind of think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think it's going to be one of those things where both fan bases are real excited and like, come on, get down there and score. And it's going to be more like the Seahawks game where nobody is scoring. I don't think it'll be quite that bad, but if I had to give a score prediction, I'd say somewhere around 24-20 Packers.
It's too close. I'd rather have a blowout. Vikings have had
I do think it'll be
close games, but I think you're right. I think it will be close. Obviously the Packers have the edge, but we will see. We will see what happens. It will be fun regardless. But once again, Ryan from Packernet Podcast joining in one of the best weeks of the year. It's crazy because it seems like the last handful of years, the Vikings and Packers have played within like the first 3 weeks. So I haven't actually got to see a ton of Packers games this year. So this will be fun, but thanks again for hopping on. Appreciate it. Again, check out Ryan's links down below and definitely check out, what is it called?
I feel like I make up a new title for it every week. I don't know, but it like laughing at the enemy. Or something
yes,
like
that's
that.
absolutely what it is. And if somehow the Vikings pull this off on Sunday, I am gonna do a Packers.
Do a laughing at the Packers episode. Yeah.
So thank you, sir. Check out the links and we'll be back soon.
All right. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. It's always fun.